This video is going to discuss specifically the skill of improving your distance control on the green. We're going to train different stroke lengths to achieve different outcomes while using the features inside the HackMotion app of stroke timing and the metronome drill to help you train this skill for better distance control on the greens. So this video is actually really a part 2 of distance control. I filmed a video previously on the HackMotion channel discussing the importance of stroke length and timing within that constraint to enable you to improve some of your distance control. I'd really encourage you to watch that part 1 first before proceeding with this video. This video is also going to touch on that topic, and before I get into the detail of how exactly to do this drill, I want to just show you the setup because it's quite specific. It's important that you follow along. I've got the ball on the ground here and I've just placed a T-peg into the ground, so visually you can see that this represents where I'm going to start the exercise. Out in front of me I've got 3 different targets at 2 meters, 4 meters and 10 meters respectively, represented by the 3 different tees sticking out of the ground. I've got a red tee, yellow tee and a green tee towards the far end of the green there. And then on the ground here, representing some of the stroke length pieces, I've got the red tees equidistant, some symmetry here to the stroke, similar length back and through. I've got the yellow tees in the ground, similar length back and through, and then I've got the green tees in the ground for the longest putt, similar length back and through again. A couple of things there. Symmetry's a good thing to strive for in your putting stroke. You'll see that consistently among good putters that their strokes are quite even in length. Secondly, the exact distance that these are placed apart is going to vary very slightly. Every golfer has a slight timing preference. The faster your stroke, the shorter the distances are going to be, and the slower your stroke, the longer these distances are going to be. So I'm not going to tell you exactly how far apart to set these up because it's going to vary based on your individual tendencies. It's also going to vary based on the green speed. For the ball to travel 2 meters on a green that's this speed, it's going to require a different stroke length to a faster or slower green. So these lengths of stroke are by no means set in stone, but you want to place tees on the ground that are going to guide you when it comes to training your timing. Really what we're teaching you here is how to set up a training station to train your timing, and then once you get good at the timing, you can transfer that timing across a different range of putts, because of course you also need to be able to hit the ball 1 meter, 3 meters, 5 meters and every other meterage that you can think of, meaning you can't have exact specific lengths of stroke that you always need to refer to. So remember, the timing is the skill that we're really training via different stroke length constraints here with the drill. Now that you have this set up, I'll show you exactly how to practice it. So as you would have seen in the original distance control video, we're going to utilize the metronome feature in the app to help us with our timing. And I'll leave it there set on 75 beats per minute, which is the mid-range of how far you can stretch this inside the app. 75 beats per minute would be fairly typical, standard, middle of the range, and it will probably feel quite comfortable for a lot of you. Others will have to explore different stroke timings, and we'll get into that shortly. Once the app is tick-tocking away, you'll see there with the little avatar that's on the screen, you want to have one of the ticks happen at the end of the backstroke and the other tick to happen at the end of the follow-through. Because the ball getting in the way of this can cause some confusion and a little bit of distraction to begin with, I've always said to practice this, first of all, without a ball. So sometimes I even like to look at the screen and just try to get my body swinging within that tempo. I'm not really paying too much attention to the tees right now. Just getting my body familiar with the tempo. And then once I'm getting quite good at hitting the backstroke and the follow through, which in itself can take a little bit of getting used to, I'm going to now pay a little bit more attention to the stroke length. So now I'm going to try to hit the ends of the stroke with the shortest distance of putt, the red tees. Having the red tees here in my vision helps me to just match the stroke length and the timing. If I wanted to then increase the stroke to the yellow, same timing, different stroke length, and because the stroke's got longer, the outcome of the putt should go further. And then finally, trying to hit the greens. All the time maintaining a very similar, or as much as possible, the same rhythm and timing there. that's quite an interesting concept for a lot of people to even explore. A lot of you don't even realize that the timing stays very similar across different putt lengths. So just go through that exercise first, try out for yourself and explore some different timing options. I'll go to a slower end of the spectrum. We drop this down to 60 beats per minute. It's going to feel quite slow for a lot of you, but for others, there are definitely people who fall into this category. Okay, so just listening to the metronome there, getting my body moving. It's quite hard to move slow enough. As I said, this can be quite extreme for some of you. So I'll hit the red tees. I can already feel this is very much too slow for me. Yellow tees. And then the green tees. Quite difficult to do. So that's the slower tempo, and then we'll also show you a quicker one. There will definitely be some of you that fall into these categories. So use the app, play around with the numbers, get rid of the golf ball to begin with, and start to get used to tempos that maybe feel more comfortable to you than others. And then once you set yourself on one, this one feels actually a little better for me. I prefer a slightly faster tempo. Yeah, this feels like, at least feels like the ball's going to get to the hole with this one. This one feels a little bit more usable. Once you settle on a number and you've done some practice without the ball, we can get to the point of introducing the golf ball into this drill. So I've brought the ball into the equation here. I've got the tee in the ground just to give me a reference for where to put the ball each time, but really I'm just going to center it in between these tees. The width of your stance can be a useful metric here to help you manage the length of your stroke when you get out on the course. Obviously, you're not allowed to put the tee pegs in the ground once you're out on the golf course. So training a stance width that could be consistent with one of these putt distances might really help you to transfer some of this out onto the golf course. For example, I could have the toes, the very front of my shoes here pointing at the red tees. That would feel quite normal, and then that also puts the outside of my shoe much closer to the yellow length. So I could already have a couple of references on the ground here when I'm looking down and practicing on the course that I could take with me. I'm going to practice without the ball, one or two more practice strokes. I've got the beats per minute set to 80 here, which is something that I've used myself in the past for my own putting. So I'm just going to get my body to move in that space and that speed, hovering the putter above the ground, trying to hit those ends of the stroke. I've got a sense of that. I'm going to step in, set up to the ball, and hit the putt. I'm going to get some feedback in terms of timing there. I was very much within the range, 2.1. That felt okay. Putt went a little bit too far. One of the things I'd like you to pay attention to is how well you manage the end of your stroke. Oftentimes, once the ball's gone, golfers lose any kind of feel or reference for where the putter went to. I almost noticed there that my follow through got a little bit too long. So that's what I'm going to pay attention to on the next one. Follow the beats, try to keep the tempo the same, hit the back end and the front end. That felt better. Hit the tee and it just felt like it came off the putter a bit better. My tempo was a little faster that time, yeah. I think that was because I was so conscious of my follow through. Last one. That was again pretty decent. That felt the best of the three. So within a space of a few seconds there, you can start to familiarize yourself with the tempo that you're trying and training, and then you're matching it to that shortest stroke length. I'd repeat this exercise for the medium and longer putts as well. Not everybody will have exactly the same timing across all of these different lengths of putt, again, so you can explore and experiment. But what's really important is that you're using the visual reference here of the different stroke lengths and matching that to the timing of the metronome and getting a sense of how you organize your body and move the putter without a ball to begin with. Once you've trained that feeling, which is ultimately your rhythm, your timing, it's the thing that you can take with you every time you play. Once you're trained the timing, you'll find that your stroke length will begin to adapt to your desired outcome. Meaning, once you look at a target that's further away, your stroke will naturally lengthen, but the thing that will stay consistent will be the timing of your stroke. That's a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's an extremely valuable one if you want to get better at improving your distance control on the greens. If you reduce the number of putts you take, it has a direct influence on your score. Lower scores will come from better putting, and better distance control on the greens is a skill that I see a lot of golfers needing help with. If you haven't watched the other putting videos that I've made for HackMotion, I'd encourage you to check those out as well. You'll find a link to the other videos in the description below.